Guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Indonesia. I like to nerd out to the science behind how we can keep our houseplants happy and how to multiply them in our homes. So if you're into that kind of content, do subscribe to my channel and send me likes. Today's topic is a very exciting one for me. It's the whole reason why I am in this plant game, and that is propagation. So I will walk you through some of my propagation stations and give you some growth updates on some of my successful propagates. So this is going to be a pretty long video, but an exciting one nonetheless. For those of you who want to know how propagation works and why plants do that, give me 2 minutes, I will explain that to you. So the fastest way to divide a plant, or the most common way that we know, is by seeds. So a plant needs to reach maturity and then it will flower and in the right conditions, and then it will be pollinated by an insect usually, or wind, and then it will bear fruits, and then the seed will have to be in the right conditions for it to germinate and turn into a plant. However, plants have also adapted another method of survival, and that is that they can create clones of themselves just by stem cuttings or even by leaf cuttings, or by nodes. I have an example right here, tenancy. And so what happened is that one of these top sides actually broke off. I'm not sure if it's the wind or if it just got too heavy. It just fell off. And of course, instead of throwing it away, I noticed that it has a node. I put it in water and roots have formed. This is pretty slow to form. It took like 5 weeks. But this cutting will turn into a whole new plant. So in nature, what happens is that if a section falls off into the ground or into appropriate media, it will propagate itself, it will clone itself. And this will have the same exact genetic materials as the parent plant. So this is super fascinating for me, and again, it's highly addictive. Every plant propagates differently. Some of the plants you have to take a whole stem, some of them you just need a petiole and a leaf, and some of them you need nodes. I invite you to discover different species and their requirements for propagation, because again, it's highly addictive, it's super fun. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you my collection. So we're gonna start with our balcony. These two philodendron torsons are propagates. They were propagated straight into soil about 5 weeks ago, and they're doing well. New growths have emerged. Another one is actually living right here. It's in leca. It was originally propagated in water and then transferred to leca, and it seems to be doing just fine. I can see a new growth point here too. So this is a 100% successful propagates. All 3 cuttings took. Here is a Pothos Enjoy, and it was actually node only. So I had a few branches. So I have a main stem with no leaf, and I just wound it around and stuck it in this medium. I didn't know it was going to root, but little baby plants started appearing. So this took a long time, because the other plant material that were propagated in water or so, but with the leaf, petiole and leaf attached, those took over the pot already, and this is a bit slow. And here we have some philodendron Brazils. This is pretty recent, so they were just plopped into this water vessel, and they haven't really rooted yet. Back to my balcony. This is a Dischidia ovata, which is a Dischidia watermelon. So I just took cuttings and stuck them into soil directly and kept this pretty moist. They don't like to be overwatered, so I put them in a very porous media and terracotta, and it's grown beautifully for me. So there's that. And then here is some tradescantia. Just stuck these straight into soil. The parent plant, I have to show you the parent plant. Hang on, let me move over. So the parent plant is over here on my closet. Sorry, I keep jumping around. But this plant actually started off as a just 2 stems, but I kept cutting. I would just cut it over here. This is the node. This is their node, and this is where the roots would come up from. So I would cut below that, and I just stick these right into soil. The chance of propagation is pretty high. This is about, I would say, 75%. They do not like to be overwatered. They rot really easily. So I kind of keep them a little bit on the dry side, but moist. Never let them dry out completely. And one way to know when to water a tradescantia is to squeeze the leaves. So if they feel firm, I don't water them. Alright, back to our tour. This is the philodendron plumanii, which I did a video for. I haven't launched it yet, but this is the other sister cutting. So there's two of them. And this one's going straight into leca. And they're both doing really well. So I'm excited for new growth. And below that, there's a variegated monstera. These are two of the cuttings, and the others are downstairs. I'll show you in a bit. So these are all propagated straight into soil, and they're doing quite well. Next up, we have the Monstera adansonii. So this is the parent plant, and it's one of my first plants actually. It grew so much. I might have overwatered it at some point because a lot of the leaves turned yellow and fell off, but I'm not worried because I made so many babies out of this. So this is going up here, and then in the next pot over, this is the propagate. This is actually the baby. There's two cuttings living in there, and it's climbing way up high. I got this parent plant about 9 months ago, and it's given me a lot of babies. Let me show you another baby that I have indoors. So here is the another baby cutting, and actually I took the top cutting where the leaves are bigger because the parent plant was actually small, and I wanted to encourage it to grow bigger and bigger leaves by letting them climb, and they have done just that. Look at how big this one is. So I will continue letting this climb up and get bigger, and then I will cut the top off and stick that back down into the soil, so it will continue getting bigger and bigger. I've seen some really huge Monstera adansonii leaves. So if you let them trail down, the leaves are going to get tiny and they're going to be a beautiful hanging plant. But if you want to have giant leaves, you keep them staked up. So this Monstera here is my first ever plant, and it's the plant that's given me propagation confidence. So I named her Celia after the Cuban singer, and she's given me about 7 or 8 babies, and their babies have given me babies. So I've cut so much propagates out of this plant, and she's doing so well. She's giving me, like, there's a new leaf that's unfurling. So when you cut plants off and to propagate them, they will grow back with vigor. So go ahead and chop up your plants and share it with your friends. You might see some of her babies later in the tour. I'll try not to make this video too long. So this is a variegated syngonium. I got this parent plant, and I actually multiplied her into about 5 different plants, and they're all over the house. So this is the parent plant actually. They grow so freaking fast, and they're so beautiful. I don't know why they're so expensive, right? And the syngoniums are having their moment right now. Everyone's crazy for them, but they grow super fast and they propagate very easily. And over here we have a philodendron Birkin cutting. It's given me one new leaf and another one along the way. So this is the top cutting from my philodendron Birkin video. And then this is the bottom cutting. So it's doing well. It's not dead, obviously, because it's been the leaves are still green, and a growth point would show up somewhere in there. It's busy sprouting roots right now. That's why it's not giving me any foliage. Here we have one of my Hoya macrophylla variegata cuttings. I have so many of them around the house. They grow like weeds. This took only like 3 weeks to get to start rooting and growing, pushing out new growth. So I don't even remember what the parent plant is because I have so many of these. This is one of them, another one of the cuttings. Look at that. So I would say that this is my fastest growing Hoya. Give them bright light and don't overwater them. They love some direct sunlight too. They'll give you some pink foliage. Propagate of my Hoya crimson princess. And it's been living here for about, I would say, 6 months. It's a slow, for me it's a pretty slow grower because mealybugs love them. Yeah, but they're so easy to propagate. And over here we have some dischidia. I can't remember the name, and they're doing well. They're growing slowly but steadily. They're very slow growers. This is the Dischidia rustifolia, a bit of a dry stem here. It didn't make it. But yeah, the rest of the plant seems to be doing okay. And this is another Dischidia. I have a lot of Dischidia cuttings because they don't do so well. They die if you overwater them. So I have a lot of plant insurance kind of lying around the house. And I'm about to cut up this Hoya bella, so that's going to be my next propagation video. Here we have a philodendron Brazil that is really doing well. It's taken from a cutting, and they propagate so easily and they grow so fast. And here we have a tradescantia. This one keeps rooting, maybe because the fuzzy leaves do not take to moisture that well, so they kept rotting off. This is the last strand that I have, so hopefully it roots. There's another dischidia back here, and here's some ZZ plants that are rooted. I know that because I tug it and it won't come off. This is the parent plant of my Hoya retusa. It didn't do so well. Mealybugs kept getting it, and I don't know, it kept giving me yellow leaves. So you will see, I propagated so many pots of plants out of this. And it's super easy. The way you propagate them is you can just cut off these like sections and just stick that right into soil, maybe about this deep into soil. So like maybe 2 centimeters into the soil. And there's so many sections that you can cut off from this plant actually. So very easy to propagate. And here's my Florida ghost parent plant, and the babies are right over here. I actually took 4 cuttings, which is a lot of cuttings. And this is the leaves. They're pretty big. This is the original leaf. So the 4 cuttings have given me, this is a baby, this is a baby, these 2 are also baby leaves. So the 4 cuttings have given me 1 leaf each, and I put them in a pot with this moss pole, so hopefully this will climb and become a massive pot of Florida ghost. Oh yeah, and for this plant, I actually stuck it right into soil because, as you can see, I'm going to go back to the parent plant. As you can see, it's already got so many roots, so many aerial roots that it doesn't need to be propagated in water or moss. And in here we have peperomia hope, and it's doing really well. It was propagated in water first, and then I stuck it into a well-draining soil. Now here's the real propagation station. Here we have a variegated ivy, even though I'm sure that's not an ivy, it's a Senecio family. And this is a monadinium. I'll include the name. It's supposed to be a bulb plant. This one seems dry. I need to water this. I haven't watered this in days. But there's going to be a tuber that forms in and becomes bigger and bigger over time. And here we have 2 peperomia argyrias. And actually, these peperomias, this obtusifolia and crucifolia, they are propagates. So if you can see, there are multiple plants. Ooh, sorry, my microphone's stuck. So there are multiple plants in there. So what I did was I cut off the top portion right here. And for peperomias, you can cut them anywhere because they will root just about anywhere. And then I got them to root, and then when the roots are like pretty established in water, I just stuck them into soil, and they 100% succeeded in growing, turning into a full plant. So some of them are, as you can see, they're flowering. How cute. Yeah, so these are doing well. This is one of the leaf propagation. So this did not have a stem, it's simply from the leaf, but they're doing well. This has been in here for a very, very long time. I do not overwater it because again, they're very prone to overwatering. You squeeze the leaves. If they're firm, they're good. They're good to go. If they become limp, then you water them. So they are very much alive because they've been in here for months and months. And I can show you down here. Actually, this is another peperomia. This is the raindrop polybotria, and this is only by leaf cutting, and it's given me a baby already. So. And this is peperomia crucifolia, also leaf cutting, and it's given me a baby. This is the obtusifolia, and it's doing alright, but it hasn't given me a baby yet. There's some succulents in there. I'm not sure what they are. We'll find out soon enough. And here we have some peperomia metallica in soil. They were rooted in water, and they're doing so well. They're very happy in here. I can't put them outside because they're very prone to overwatering and the rain will decimate them. And here we have a maranta that is in water. These guys, they will root right here at the node. Take it out. Yeah, they will root right here in between. So this will take a while. I'm just gonna leave that back in there. And there's some peperomia argyria that's in water. So this is gonna be my water propagation area. This is a philodendron lupinum, and it's in water. Usually for plants that do not have an established aerial roots, I will stick them in water first. Peperomia hope, philodendron micans, Pothos marble queen. There's some Brazils down there, and this is more philodendron. Peperomia hope. I have a lot of them. I keep cutting them up. They're so easy to propagate. And this is a ZZ raven. So these are leaf propagations. I just stuck them into soil. This is Pothos enjoy that is going straight into soil. I didn't even water propagate them. Philodendron micans. This is a scindapsus. This is a dischidia, and this is going straight into soil. And as you can see, it's happy. It's having the time of its life. It's got so many growth points happening here. They do not like to be overwatered. Dischidias do not forgive you if you overwater them. More peperomia hope, more scindapsus. Let me pull one out actually. See how they're doing. Because this has been in water. Ooh, this looks so nice. Look at this fat. Look at that fat root. That's a root. Nice and fat. So I think these scindapsuses are ready to be put into soil. Let's stick that carefully. This is a philodendron ring of fire. It just broke off. I don't know why. This is the tip. It broke off the parent plant for some reason, and it grew a new leaf while it was in water. So it's doing well. It's going to soil pretty soon. So here is the Peperomia metallica. As you can see, the roots are insane. I will put them into soil soon, and they will join their brother and sisters over here. More Peperomia hope. Actually, I'm actually going to pull out a random one just to show you. Look at the roots on this one. In my experience, there's like 90% success rate for them when you root them in water, and they take to soil pretty easily too. Just don't overwater them. But you want to keep the soil pretty moist in the beginning because they're used to being in water. But eventually, once they're established as plants, you want to back off the watering. And here's a plant that I don't really know what this is, but the parent plant is beautiful. It looks like a Dracaena bamboo mix. Okay, so this has been in here for about 8 months. Just so you know, it took a very, very long time to root, and it's definitely ready to go into soil. And then there's some Peperomia argyria here. Oh, it's doing well. As you can see, it's rooted quite okay. And this is a Persian shield. It's living outside on my balcony. Let me see if it's got. Oh, it doesn't have any roots yet. So get up. And here is some rosemary cuttings. Let me see. Oh, I do have roots here. And this is ready to go into soil. And one of them is actually going to my cousin's place because she asked for a cutting. Sorry, put that back down. And actually, rosemary do well when you propagate them straight into soil. And last section here, this is more marble queen pothos, and more pothos enjoy. Pothos are so easy to propagate. This one didn't make it. It's got little roots, but yeah, the leaf didn't make it. I'm just gonna chuck it out. That's a rabbit's foot fern. It hasn't done anything. And this is a scindapsus dark form. And this is Peperomia hope, and this is just a leaf cutting. They have been here for about 5 to 6 months. So I'm guessing that there's probably some growth inside, and it's gonna push out anytime now. Here we have a Peperomia, I forgot what it's called. Incana, Peperomia incana. I didn't know what these markings were. I thought they were attacked by insects, and then I realized that these are sunburns. They really can't take bright indirect light. You need to be put a little bit away from the light. So these are both cuttings. I propagated this one straight into soil, and this one was in water first. And look at the growth, how cute. The way that you know to water them is by squeezing their leaves. If they're firm like this, they don't need watering. If you water them right now, they're just gonna rot, it's gonna die. So back off on watering for your peperomias. So this is the parent plant of the previous Peperomia incana. And as you can see, it's grown back with several new branches, and this is also new growth. So don't be afraid to cut up your plants. They're gonna get bushier and they're gonna be happier than before. And back here we have a Peperomia raindrop polybatria. This is the parent plant. I believe we saw the baby, or we will see it soon. But yeah, when I cut it, it gave me a few. This was actually just a sad, lonely branch, but now if you can see, there's 2 branches already. So yeah. So here is the propagate from that plant that we saw earlier, the Peperomia polybatria, also known as the raindrop peperomia. This was in water, and now it's in soil. It's grown so much. I'm about to cut this up too. How I would do it is I would cut maybe like here, and then maybe here. So this would encourage the bottom growth to branch out a bit more. Here is some Dischidia pactinoides, just barely hanging in there. And this is a philodendron microspictum. There's a lot of propagates downstairs. I'll show you later. But yeah, this one's doing alright. This is a lot of Peperomia crucifolia that is propagating in water. I meant to put half of these in soil, but I got too busy, so they're just gonna be propagated in water, I guess. In my experience, they do really well in water. We have a Dischidia ovata, another cutting, and it's doing really well. I think this is the easier Dischidia to care for. And here we have a Peperomia obtusifolia variegata. This came to me as a single stem, so I kept cutting the top portion off to root in water and stuck it back in there. There's at least 3 plants in there actually. And up here we have a lot of Ripsalis. How cute. This is a Hediora, and this is another Ripsalis. And back there we have a lot of the cuttings that are doing well for the Hediora and Ripsalis. Jungle cactuses are super easy to propagate. So you would cut them off anywhere that you want. Let it callus over, and then for 2 or 3 days, and then stick them into well-drained soil. And they're so forgiving. You can underwater it, you can overwater it a bit, and they'll do fine. So all my propagates took. So 100% success rate. And back here we have a Hoya compacta Hinderobe variegata. This was taken off this main plant actually. This main plant died off, like it wasn't doing well, so I just chopped off the top portion over here. It's got a bald stem in the bottom where a lot of leaves fell off. That's why I decided to cut it off. So I stuck that portion into this soil, and this top part is now growing. So I propagated this straight into soil. The non-variegated one actually died. I don't know why, but she survived. And here is a Dischidia green dragon jade, or jade dragon, whatever you call it. You'll see the parent plant downstairs. I'll show you in a bit. But it's growing, it's doing well. So I basically just cut off a section, took off some of the balls here, and then when there's a bare stem, I just stuck that into soil and just kept it pretty moist. And as you can see, this is dry. I keep them a bit on the dry side because they don't like to be overwatered. They're like a succulent. But so far all my cuttings took, so they must be pretty easy to propagate. And up here we have a string of heart that's variegated in a regular form. They kept dying on me, so this is actually my 3rd time propagating them. I actually got these as a single or a double strand plant, and actually now there's a lot of strands in there, so I'm kind of grateful. But if you overwater them, they will just die back, and I would just keep cutting them off and turn it into many plants. So there's actually a lot of plants in there right now. doing quite okay, and you learn from the mistakes. So now I have a few strands that are, I have some downstairs too, by the way, so I've divided them up into several pots out of just like a single strand. So they are finicky, but they also propagate really easily. So the best way for me is actually water. Although some of you may have better luck, with just having them be looped around on top of the pot. I've done that before, and that actually does pretty well. So yeah. Over here by the windowsill, I have ZZ plants. This is leaf propagation, and I don't know if anyone else came up with this, but I swear, honest to God, I have never seen anyone do this, but I basically skewered them. I stabbed the leaves in one skewer and then just plugged it in water, and as you can see, they have all rooted. They're doing well. So this method is quite efficient for ZZ plants. They're super easy to propagate, both in water and into soil. And next to it, we have, I don't want to open this right now, but it's really foggy. I'll insert some pictures here, but it's a begonia leaf that it got killed by a falling canopy, so I decided to take the leaves and propagate them in this Tupperware. Over here we have some ZZ plants that are going straight into soil. Do not judge me by these leaves because they were already pretty bad. Like, I got this ZZ plant just so I could propagate it. I didn't get a healthy plant to begin with. But from all I know, even the unhealthy leaves will root and they will give you healthy babies. Ooh, I almost forgot about the philodendron gloriosum. So this was probably about a 2-leaf cutting that I did. I did a video on these, so if you want to look at how it's done, check it out. But there's another, the parent plant is downstairs, so we have a few plants out of this, and there's new growth coming out. So maybe we'll see those other plants downstairs. So here's one of the gloriosum propagates. This came with a stem and a petiole, but unfortunately wind took off the dead leaves. So it was just a bare petiole. It's a wet stick basically. I propagated in sphagnum moss, and it's given me one leaf. Alright, so this is the parent plant of the philodendron gloriosum that I showed you earlier. This didn't do so well. I think the media is like way too wet. So it kept giving me yellow. There's actually another leaf that yellowed off and fell off. But it's giving me a lot of growth points. Ooh, this one might be dying. It's a yellow in color. But there's multiple growth points. And this is the first healthy leaf. And that's Josie. Hi. Hi. And that's Gia. Hello. Hello. Yep. So I'm very happy with this propagation. So here is my variegated monstera update. These two leaves look very limp. I guess because there's actually a small root system in there that's trying to support 2 leaves. It's even showing me a dry tip, so I need to water it a bit more often, I think. But the other leaves are, the other cuttings are actually quite firm, and this one has given me a new growth point. So this is probably about 4 to 5 weeks old. So this is another variegated monstera. There's half moon, so I'm hoping the stem would give me another half moon. And this one is showing a little growth here. And I think that's where the new leaf is coming from. There's another half moon. This is another plant. I don't see any growth point yet, but this leaf is healthy. This leaf is healthy. And this plant is also very healthy. So we're just waiting for new growth. They take a while, but once you have 3 to 5 leaves, it's going to take off. It's going to grow like a new leaf every month. So here is the parent plant from which the cuttings were taken from, and it's given me 2 branches. This is one, and look at the variegation. It's so beautiful. And this is the second one. So this is actually a leaf, sorry. Right here, the first leaf is super teeny tiny, and then now it's unfurling a second leaf. So the parent plant is recovering, and it will actually, because there's a lot of really good root system in there, it should push out, a lot of branches, a lot of growth soon. So over here we have a Christmas cactus that rotted off in the base, but I managed to salvage the tips, so I just cut them. Sorry, I just plucked them actually, kind of like plucked them right off, and then waited a few days and stuck it right into soil. And don't overwater them, just kind of keep it moist. And all of them took root. So, alright, so Josie wants to be in this video. She's in attention whore. Oh, something's in your eye, sweetie. Alright, so sorry for the interruption. So here is the Hoya retusa. They propagate so easily. I think 90% of the cuttings took. As you can see, there are new growths that are happening. So I would say Hoya retusa is one of the easier ones to propagate. And then let's see, there's some Genuses, Truby, dark form. This one was a bit overwatered, but we have some really good cuttings here. This is the parent plant, and it's a slow grower. And here we have a lot of. I'm just gonna go quickly through this section. There's a lot of pothos, genuses, and philodendrons over here. These are all cuttings, and they're all, it's a pothos mandula, so they all have taken over their pot. This was probably done about 4 to 5 months ago, so they are happy. So with this, actually, when you have something trailing like this, what happens is that I like to. Ooh, I see like something here. I don't know what this is. I hope it's not pest. I'll clean this off later. So what I like to do is I like to stick this, like loop it around and paint it down so that these nodes will turn into roots. This will give it a more established plant overall. And then if I want to, I can also, once the roots are established, I could just cut off the sections and it would bush out into a giant plant. Oh, when you have so many propagates, the easiest way to water them is actually to just lift the pot. So if the pot feels heavy, then don't water them, because soil is like 80%, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but something like 80% water. So when they're dry, you can definitely feel it. And this is a bit overwatered probably, so yeah. And some of these, I can't even remember. Some of these were propagated in water and then moved into soil. Some of them were stuck straight into soil. So I don't know, I don't remember this anymore. But this is a philodendron Birkin. This is the parent plant, so I kept it in an original pot. Giving me babies, tiny babies. And this is a Stramanthe triarstar that is divided by at the roots. So the parent plant is healthy, and then this one gave me a lot of variegation actually, more than the parent plant, and it's pushing out growth like crazy. So yeah, you can go ahead and root divide these. They do really well. Here is a syngonium that I've, again, the parent plant is upstairs that I've divided, and they're very happy. It's been pushing out growth. Here we have some aglaonemas. I know they look pretty crappy right now, but hang on, let me show you. So what happens is that these was actually just two strands of plants, sorry. And I just cut them right here. And look at it, it's branching out. It's giving me 3 branches. That's freaking amazing. And it's so beautiful. Look at the markings on the leaves. And what happens, I just stuck that top cutting back into soil. So just stick it right in here. And this is has been here for about 2 to 3 months. Of course, this one has too many leaves. I don't think it has enough energy or roots to support so many leaves. I'm gonna cut this off later. That's why it's sacrificing some of the old leaves, but it's very much alive. So this will continue pushing out growth, and this one is also doing quite well. So yeah, I mean, it looks, again, give it patience. Because if you give it like a year or so and you keep doing that, I'm gonna have a plant that is like full and bushy instead of just a sad, lonely little stem of plant. Here is one of Celia's babies. Ooh, I'm gonna show you the other baby that's living inside. So yeah, it's a monster. Sorry for jumping around all over the place. My plants are all over the place. So this is another one of Celia's babies, and it's doing well. So this one lives indoors, which could explain why the leaves are as you can see here, the leaves are not really growing in size. So all of the leaves are pretty much the same size. So my tip with Monstera deliciosas, if you want to have bigger leaves, give them more light. And also one of my theory is that you need to give them a very chunky, airy soil. This will encourage them to grow roots that grip, like stronger roots, this will fool them into thinking that they're actually climbing up. Because monsteras, when they climb up, when they think that they're on a high elevation, they will give you fenestration and with the holes. So if you give them a very soft kind of like peaty substrate, it's going to grow softer roots. It's going to think that, oh, it's still pretty low on the ground. So that's my theory at least. So if somebody wants to test it out or prove me wrong, go ahead and leave that on the comment below. So here is a epipremnum pinnatum variegata. They're just starting to show some fenestration. But what happened was that I actually put this, these are very sensitive to sunlight. They're more sensitive than the monstera, here's one, variegated monstera. So a lot of the leaves burned up. When that happened, I just cut off the top and stuck, as you can see, the bottom is way more bushy, and these are new leaves. So I stuck the bottom of the pot with some of the cuttings from the top. So there's actually about 3 plants living in here now. So this middle section, let me back up a bit. This middle section will be filled in pretty soon with what's growing from below. Yeah. These are very beautiful plants, so if you can get your hands on it, I would definitely recommend it. Variegations are gorgeous. I can't wait for the fenestration though. They do beautifully when they split. Alright, so this is my sort of a setup outdoors. It gets bright indirect light and it gets rained on. As you can see, there's nothing above it. So these are plants that get rained on every 2 to 3 days. Here is my dischidia ruskifolia variegata cutting that are doing well. So these two, they came as a 2-strand plant, and now I've propagated them. I propagated by putting it to the next pot over and coiling it around and pinning them down. So once the next pot has rooted, I actually just cut off the stem, and here we have the 2 pots of plants. So I'm gonna start to propagate them again. When this is long enough, I'm gonna do the same method of division. Here we have more dischidias. I just cut the strands off and just stuck them. Ooh, I need to put them really hard. And stuck them into the soil and just kept it moist. Here is some string of, actually this one was a string of hearts that rotted over. This is in its original pot. So I cut off the strings completely off, and those are upstairs. I did not know that this was going to grow back. So this is growing back apparently. And here is more of the Hoya macrophylla variegata that, as you can see from, I have many of these cuttings all over the place. And here is a peperomias scandens, I believe, scandens variegata. This was taken from the front yard actually. It was not doing well at all. Ooh, shoot, is this flowering? This Christmas cactus? Or Thanksgiving, I don't know what cactus this is. But yeah, it looks like it's flowering. That's exciting. So yeah, and then this is my peperomia argyria that is doing well. I propagated these into water. There's actually 3 plants living in here. So they're doing really well. And this is the one of the stromatid triostar parent plants. And let me see what else there is here. This is a philodendron gaby, also propagation micans. Oh, and this is an anthurium crystallinum that is propagated. So this is the parent plant actually. The parent plant is doing so happy. There's a lot of views right there. That is pretty big leaves. And this is giving me 4 new leaves at the same time. 3, 4, yeah, which is insane. So this is the cutting from that plant. And this leaf is new, so it's going to grow. Probably bigger than that previous leaf. Dendron micans, these are going straight into soil. And more I have so many micans, I didn't even bother to, because I have a lot in water already, so these are just going straight into soil. Another peperomia argyria that is a rescue. It's in my peperomia argyria video. In case you haven't checked it out, I show you how I care for it and propagate it. It's flowering, how cute. I just took some cuttings off too, like yesterday, because they were so long and unruly. They're just vining all over the place. So yeah, I'll have more of these. You can't get enough of them. They're so cute. So over here we have some more philodendron gaby. This is a alocasia. I can't pronounce the full name, but these came to me as 1 plant, but I divided them into 2 pots. So now I have 2. This will get pretty big, pretty huge. I need to upsize the pot soon actually, but Variegations are so beautiful. And these will readily throw out pups from below, so they're good for root division. Moving on over, so that's, in case you missed my fern video, I divided my ferns about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and they all have survived and they're doing well. I haven't really seen any new growths, but they're probably busy at trying to establish their roots currently. Almost forgot about them. I don't even remember that I have them out here, but they get rained on when it rains. So these are actually just peperomia hope that is stuck straight into soil, so not water propagation. And these are quite old. They have been here for about, I would say, 3 to 4 months, and it's growing, so it's doing all right. Here we have a dischidia that I just cut up this morning. I used the butterfly method where I cut each node and then just kind of laid, like I can show you right now. I'm trying this out. I just kind of stick them on the top. Previously what I did was I used the whole strand and just stuck it on the soil. So I'm just trying something new. And this is Hoya davidkimgiae. No, sorry, Hoya curtisiae. That the parent plant hasn't grown at all. It kept dying back, so I just took the cutting. It rooted in water, so there's a lot of good roots in there. And I just stuck them in the cocoa husk over here. And then once I tightened them in there, I just jammed it into this pot. So this is super tight in here and just kept it moist. So this is a new propagate. This is another dischidia. So I learned that dischidias and hoyas, some of them do like to be in this kind of setup. String of pearls. So it got attacked by mealybugs, and it was originally just one, I got this as a one strand plant actually. So I'm happy that I got so many strands out of this. And this is a Hoya compacta Hindu rope. This is the parent plant. It's sitting next to the parent plant. So I basically just cut it at the stem like here, and then stuck it right into soil. So this is straight into soil. Here we have some oregano. So they do well with water propagation, but you can also use the soil method. So you just stick the plant into soil and it will root very, very easily. Give it very bright indirect light or some full sun, and keep the media moist. So this is the parent plant. I just cut off the tip. So what happens when you cut off from the tip of a herb like a lavender, oregano, or rosemary is that the bottom here would branch. You can see here the new growth are forming. So this will branch out. This will give you 2 branches from where one branch used to be. And here we have a rosemary. I've taken a few cuttings off these. And here we have this more string of hearts. Some of the plants are upstairs. So this was actually rooted in water. I'll show you some an image of what it looked like when it was propagating in a water vessel. The Dischidias trubii moonlight. This is not really a propagate, but I just want to show you that this came as a one strand plant. It was a one strand of plant. What happens is that as it grew longer, I just kept winding it into the pot, making sure the nodes are touching the pot. So this is just one plant that is winding around and around, and it's growing vigorously because it's got so much root. So if you guys have a pothos or a vining plant, go ahead and loop them around in the pot. Do not leave like a bald topsoil with just one fat strand that is coming off the side. That's just really sad. So yeah. Another Stromatic triostar that's root divided. Hoya carnosa. I stuck this straight into the soil, not even in water, so it's doing really well. Pothos mandula, more peperomias scandens, more peperomia metallica, and they propagate so easily. This is a marble snow queen. This is another peperomia scandens. I have so many of these. I don't even know what to do with them. And here's the sansevieria that I have propagated. This took so long. Probably it took 9 months to get here. And what happens is that they lose their variegation. The original plant had a yellow variegation on the side. So basically what I did was I did leaf cutting. So I just took leaf sections like this and I cut them diagonally across, and I rooted it in water and then into soil. So all of them have taken root, taken over the pot. but it's very slow to grow, I would say, and it's lost its variegation. So if you're gonna do that, just keep in mind that you will lose some of that. And here is a Hoya carnosa crimson queen, micans, this philodendron neon. There's so many of these. More ripsalis, more Hoya carnosa crimson queen, more ripsalis over here. So the ripsalis plant that I originally got did not do so well. It got infested by mealybugs, and I just cut them off into sections, and all of the cuttings rooted, so they're super easy to propagate. It's a philodendron microstictum. I got this as one cutting from a seller about 7 months ago, and it grew a few leaves, and I just chopped them up, and then I stuck a few cuttings in this pot, and now it's giving me a full plant, and there's so many growth points happening right here. These are beautiful. I mean, they look like very common leaves, but when you pet them, it's like a leathery, thick texture. So for your orchid lovers, here is a Phalaenopsis orchid keiki, which is a baby plant that grew out of the stem. It's pretty rare for them to do that, and it looks like a bird or like a flying fairy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this off. Hi Josie. So I'm gonna cut this off, and then this is gonna turn into a full plant. Ooh, there's ants in here. Probably got some pests. Yeah. So here is 3 cuttings of Amidrium medium. I think this is the green form. The parent plant grew pretty fast, and this gave me runners, and then after the runners it gave me these 3 leaves, so I didn't want that. So I cut off the 3 leaves and the runner, and then propagated this in water first, and then now in soil. They're very slow to propagate, I noticed, but then once they've established, they're very fast to grow into leaves. This is giving me another runner, as you can see. Giving me a runner, so I don't like that. I might chop off the runner and propagate this. Look at that, there's so many nodes here. So this will do pretty well in propagation. Because when I cut the runner off, I can get maybe like 1 big leaf coming out from below instead, because I don't want this. And here we have another Strongyne triostar, root division. Alright, so I guess that concludes the tour. Thanks for watching my videos. I know it's super long, but I hope it's informative and interesting, and it inspires you to hack up your plants, cut them up and propagate them. Don't be afraid. If you have any questions about propagations, do reach out to me. I am @botanist on Instagram. I'm more active there, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.